Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Wednesday evening Zoom class with Bhavani. I am Bhavani, if you don't know me already. I have my glass of wine here to cook with you and to have a fun evening. We are making grilled portobello mushrooms stuffed with spinach and asparagus and red pepper, and it's a great dish. We're going to be doing it indoors here. I have my griddle that I'll be able to put across the burners. But if you were outside at a barbecue, you could absolutely do this right onto the griddle, and that would be lovely. But we're going to do it here. And we're also going to make an herb brown rice to go with it, and a baby arugula salad with strawberries and beets and a pear vinaigrette. So we better get going. I'm going to start. I put my water on to boil just now, just to get the beets going, because the beets take a while to cook, and I want to be able to cool them down before I put them into the salad. So I have the beets going. I'm also going to turn my water on for my rice. For those of you that maybe don't remember or weren't with me before, when making rice, due to the arsenic in soil, it is no longer recommended that you do 1 cup of rice to 2 cups of water. We actually need to scrub the rice, really run it under cold water and scrub it together to get like 50% of the arsenic off. And then the rest is you're going to boil it in a large, like a pasta pot of water. And that will remove 90% of the arsenic. So it's a really good idea to make the rice that way. And that's one of the reasons with the herbed rice, I'm adding all the flavor afterwards, because years ago, I used to cook my rice in vegetable broth, which would give it a lot of flavor. And now I don't want to waste vegetable broth that I'm going to dump out. So I just cook it in a little salted water, drain it, and then I put flavoring into the rice. So that's what we're going to be doing. So I have the rice on, and I have water on for the beets. For the mushrooms, I already put mine into a marinade. I had a large Ziploc bag. If you don't have a large one, you can separate it into 2. But I made a marinade with olive oil, balsamic vinegar, a little tamari, and a little garlic. Very simple. And I'm just letting it marinate here. And we'll be putting it onto the griddle in just a little bit. So that's marinating. I also have my spinach that's going to cook down. Now, this is a pound of spinach, believe it or not. I have spinach growing in the garden, and it's really beautiful. That's partly why I want to do it. I have spinach in the garden, I have asparagus. So this recipe is making use of both of those early spring vegetables. Believe it or not, this spinach will cook all the way down. And we're going to cream the spinach with, in the Cuisinart, with a little bit of coconut milk. So actually, I forgot to get my coconut milk out. So this is the coconut milk we'll be using. This is organic coconut milk, and it says simple on the bottom because all it is coconut milk. If you are in the Asian aisle and you look at coconut milk, most of the coconut milk has agar added to it or carrageenan added to it or some other stabilizer added to it, and you don't want that. So this coconut milk at Whole Foods you'll find in the bakery aisle. So the same brand, Native Forest, makes coconut milk that has carrageenan in it, and they also make this simple one. And so you want to go to the bakery aisle where you find the simple one. Okay, so I'm going to continue letting these just marinate a little bit, and we're going to start making the filling to the mushroom. So I am going to saute the onions. I have an onion here. I'm going to cut up my onion. As soon as the water boils, I'll put the beets in the water. And there's many different ways that you can cook beets. You can roast them in the oven. You can, you can roast them whole. You can roast them cut up. It's so hot today, I thought it would be better not to have to turn the oven on if I didn't have to. So again, all of my vegetable scraps are going into my compost. So I have that right next to the sink, and I put all my vegetable scraps there, and then That goes outside into my compost bin, and I mix that with some leaves. Ideally for compost, 1/3 of your compost is supposed to be green compost, which is your vegetable scraps, and 2/3 is supposed to be brown, meaning leaves. I don't normally do that. I just never have enough leaves over here. So I end up putting just vegetables together and then taking it out to my field where I mix it in with the leaves. Anyway, for cutting the mushrooms, if you're remembering how to do that, I cut the onion in half. I lie it flat down. I'm making a few slices into it. And then I'm using, again, my finger as the template or as a guide. I bend my finger back so that the tip of my finger won't get cut, and I use my knuckle as my template, as my guide. And so I keep moving my finger back. Can you see that in the camera? Okay. All right, so I'm gonna put some, oh, my water's boiling, so I'm gonna add my beets right now. I have 3 very large beets. I'm gonna put them into the water. And you don't have to peel, you wash them, but you don't have to peel them because after you cook the beets, the peel almost just comes right off. When I take them out of the water, I'm actually gonna put gloves on because I don't want my hands to get all red. But the peel will just come right off. So I'm gonna turn on my skillet. I'm gonna put a little olive oil into the pan. And when that gets hot, I'm gonna add the onions, and I'm gonna add some garlic as well. And I have my garlic already minced here. For those that do not remember, my trusty little device here is what I use all the time for mincing up my garlic. And if you don't have a little device like this, I really recommend it. This brand is Braun, B-R-A-U-N. And it's a little mini food chopper. It also has a immersion blender that you can attach onto it. And it's just such a handy little device in the kitchen. I highly recommend it. Okay, so once you see the oil start shimmering, that's when you can add the onions. And then you want to always hear a sizzle when you add the onions. And what that's doing is it's actually searing the outside, as opposed to if you put the onions into oil that's not yet hot, it kind of just absorbs the oil more and it gets soggier as opposed to searing it.
What kind of oil are you using?
Excuse me?
What kind of oil are you
I'm using olive oil. I usually use olive oil all the time. You can use another oil if you prefer. The only time I use canola oil or safflower oil is if I'm doing some frying. Not sauteing, but actual frying, like deep frying, like potato pancakes or something like that. But otherwise, I usually use olive oil. I'm going to add my minced garlic right into the onions. When the onions get cooked, we are going to add all of this spinach. Now also, on the grilled mushrooms, I should have showed you all the picture, but we're going to stuff the mushrooms, and then we are going to line it with some asparagus across the top and some pepper. So I first want to show you the asparagus. When you get asparagus, they're usually long, and the bottom part of the stem is always tough. So it will naturally break where the toughness is. So you just bend it, and it will break at the proper spot where it's not tender. And this, again, will go into my compost. And the asparagus, we're going to toast with olive oil, and I'm going to turn the oven on. We're going to roast these in the oven. I'm just going to get out my little roasting pan. And I'm going to get a piece of parchment paper. Now, because I do so much cooking, I have the luxury of, I get parchment paper that's already in flat sheets, and it makes things very easy. But you can get a roll of parchment paper. Very easy. This one I'm folding in half. I'm going to toss the asparagus with a little bit of olive oil and a little sprinkle of salt. And actually, the recipe doesn't say this, but the recipe from when I make the recipe and then I keep kind of like adding to it. I'm going to add a little tarragon to the asparagus. I really like the flavor of asparagus tarragon. So I'm just going to lay out my asparagus like so. Just like this. I'm going to add a little tarragon. And sprinkle it with a little bit of tarragon. Where are you, tarragon? There you go. This is organic tarragon, and I love the flavor of tarragon. I don't use it that often, but it's wonderful in a recipe like this. I'm just gonna, whoa, forgetting my onions. So I forgot my onions. I have a few little burnt pieces I'm going to just pull out. And that happens when you're doing a lot of different things. So my onions are now translucent. As you can see, I'm smelling the garlic, smelling delicious. I'm going to add this spinach. And all of this spinach, I'm going to turn this heat down because I had it a little too high. And all the spinach won't fit in at a time, so just add part of it. I'm going to lower the heat on my boiling beets just so it doesn't overflow. I'm just going to stir this up. Add just a little bit of salt to the spinach. Not only does that give it the flavor, but it helps wilt the spinach a little bit. Just add a little bit of salt. Lowered it too much. You can see it's already gone, wilted down in half. So I'm going to add some more. Okay. While that's cooking, I'm going to sit these in. Those only have to go in for like 5 minutes, so it's not going to be a long time. But I'm going to pull out my carrot and onion that I need to cut up for my herbed brown rice. So we're going to dice the onions and dice the carrots. So again, I just showed you one way of cutting the onion. For dicing, I'm going to show you another way of cutting as well. Put this in my compost. Okay, so another way if you're dicing an onion is you can score the top. And then turn it and score it the other way. So you're making a little checkerboard right onto the onion. And then you bring it over the cutting board and you just cut it. And you have perfect little squares. And this is nice because they all come out like the same size. And so if you're looking for that consistency, this is one way of doing it. I'm going to score it a little more. You don't score it all the way through the first time because it will fall apart. So then it gets more tricky as you get closer to the bottom of the onion. And for the end, you're going to actually have to do a regular chop. Okay, so here's the onions chopped for the herbed rice. I'm going to do the, let me stir this up, the spinach. As you can see now, there's room for me to add the remaining bit of spinach. And this is a whole pound. You know, a pound is one of those big plastic containers of spinach. That's a pound. And that's how much we're going to use to make our cream stuffing. That cook a little bit. While that's cooking, we're going to do the carrot. So I want to get the carrots to be kind of the same shape as the onions. So I'm going to cut the carrots on the diagonal. So I have nice long pieces like this. And then I'm going to cut each of the pieces into julienne slices. Then I'm going to turn them all sideways and cut them into little squares. So if they're about the same size, and they'll cook around the same amount of time as the onions, so I can cook them together. Okay? And you can line the carrots up and do the juliennes like this, goes a little quicker, and turn it, and then do it again. You get these nice little squares. My knife is not as sharp as it should be. I need to sharpen it. Okay, so there's my carrots. The end of the carrot goes into the compost. I stir my spinach. Okay, the spinach saute is all complete. So I'm going to turn this off now. And I'm going to puree the spinach with the coconut milk in a full-size Cuisinart. So let me bring the Cuisinart over here so you can see what I'm doing. Clear a little space. Move my wine, take a sip. I hope I'm not drinking alone. And I'm actually going to move the rice to the back burner over here so that I'll be able to put the griddle up here and get it working. It's too hot. Putting the rice in the back so I can set the griddle up over here. Across 2 burners really beautiful, and you can cook it just right there. Easy. Okay, let me bring over my Cuisinart. All right, so all of this spinach and onion is going to go right into Cuisinart. actually a food processor. This happens to be a Cuisinart brand, but any food processor that works well will do. And you can see it's not that much spinach. Once you cook it all up, it's really not that much. Now I'm going to put this pan over here. And the coconut milk is right here. And coconut milk, we just need a half a cup. Half a cup of coconut milk. And then whenever you're mixing anything, especially if you have a lot of liquid, you don't just turn it on because it can splatter out. You want to pulse it. That's also the best way to actually get it to mix up. You get a spatula and get parts that are stuck up on the side. Get that down. Oops. Wrong spatula. Okay, and I need to add a little nutmeg to this. Nutmeg here, and nutmeg is very powerful, so you only need a very little bit. So we're going to put a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. Okay. Then we're just going to let this sit on the side until we need it. All right, that's boiling. The rice is just about boiling, so I'm going to add my rice in. Now I've already scrubbed the rice under water, okay? So I'm going to add the rice, 2 cups, and I'm going to add some salt to the water. Where's my salt? This is Himalayan pink salt. All right, cover back on. Let that boil. This is still going, that's good. So we're going to saute onions and the carrots for the rice. Get a little bit of olive oil, a little sip of wine. Okay, so we need some garlic in here too. So 2 cloves of garlic and some ginger. And for ginger, I'm going to, sometimes I use that great little mini chopper that I just showed you. You can also use a microplane. You can use a little ginger grater. And since I've shown you the Braun mini chopper many times, I'm going to show you my little ginger grater, just so you can see the different tools that one can use. So I'm just peeling the ginger here. I'm going to get out my ginger grater. This is a little ginger grater. I've also seen them ceramic, but I think the metal one works better. And you're just going to go back and forth on the little metal grater. burn your olive oil. So the onions and carrots are going in. I'll lower the heat a little bit. Okay. So we're going to add the ginger and the garlic to that. You can see the ginger is just right here, beautifully grated. And the little ends, you can either grate some more, or you can chop it with the knife. Take it like that, put it right in. And then the garlic, I'm going to chop up. And add the chopped garlic right into the vegetables as well. Okay, the rice is boiling away, so I'm going to lower the heat just a little bit so it doesn't overflow. Maybe take the lid off. All right, so while this is sauteing, I'm going to get my mushrooms going. So I'm going to turn this on. So you listen to hear that the light goes on for both sides. Put my mushrooms around again. And this is a great way to marinate it because you really want to be able to, every few minutes or every 10 minutes, just hold it around so that you get the marinade everywhere. Okay, so I'm going to lower this heat just a little bit. I don't want it to be too hot. And I'm going to spray the griddle with some olive oil. I have this organic extra virgin olive oil spray. Okay, with the herb brown rice, I have the onions and the garlic and the ginger and the carrots going. We're going to put in frozen peas and frozen corn, tamari, and then herbs. We have cilantro, we have dill, we have mint, and we have parsley. I'm just waiting for that to get hot. I'm going to put these face down first. I guess that's not face down. Face up this way first, okay? So I want to get nice scoring on the outside of the mushrooms. I have one extra one. We'll save that for a rainy day. Hands. So let that go for a while. You don't want to disturb it. You want to allow it to get the little scoring on it first, and then we're going to turn it just a half. Turn it 90 degrees so that you get the scoring in the other direction. So with the onions and the carrots, we have dill, we have parsley, cilantro, and you want to add the herbs fresh. I don't want to cook them. So I have the parsley and the cilantro already chopped. We're going to chop some dill, and we're going to chop some mint.
Okay.
And you can hear the sizzling of the mushrooms going right now. And I'm just chopping them together. Oh, it's rattling. Take a peek how this is going. Okay, I'm going to turn it. Quarter turn. And you can, I'll tell you, the ones right over the burners are hotter. So I'm going to flip those around. So that I give the ones that are not directly over the burner a chance. Okay? So lower it again just a little bit more. Let me check the beets and see how they're doing. And the way to do that is just to put a fork in it, and they are still hard. So they have a way to go. Okay. So the dill and the mint is chopped here. I'm just going to put it in with the cilantro and the parsley. And these will be added in. We are going to add the frozen corn and the frozen peas to the onions. And no carrots, okay?
Do you defrost the frozen vegetables first or just leave it?
No, I just before the show, I measured it out, so I wouldn't have to measure it now. But you can go straight from the freezer right into the pan. The peas were stuck together, so I ran them under cold water, and you can do that. I didn't defrost them, but I ran them under cold water to get the ice off. And you can do that. So here's the carrots, onions, peas, and corn.
Oh.
Just let it cook a little bit more. I'm going to turn over the mushrooms now. Oh, my asparagus. They look fine. Here's the asparagus. I'm going to sit them back over here. I will sit them over here. Okay. Let me finish turning my mushrooms. Let me show you what it's looking like so you can see how there's squirt on the bottom side. Okay, we'll turn off the onions and carrots and peas. This is ready, and this will be added to the rice when the rice is ready. And that still has a little ways to go. We're waiting for the beets. The asparagus is done. We're going to need the peppers as well. And the peppers are also going to get roasted on the griddle so that they get little score marks as well. So I'm going to cut the peppers in half, take out the seeds. And again, all this will go into my compost. Move this stuff out of the way. Okay. All right. So now for the peppers, with the mushrooms, I'm going to stuff the inside of the mushrooms with the spinach, and then I'm going to lay asparagus over it, and then the peppers over it. So I don't want the peppers to have that little curve. So I'm going to take off the ends. I've shown you this before. And this is if I'm making a stir fry and I want julienne vegetables in the stir fry, I don't want that curve. And so I take off the ends and I save this, and these are perfect for cutting up for my salad. But now for the stir fry, if it was a stir fry or for this recipe, I'm going to take out the membrane. Okay, and now I have nice easy pieces to just slice up. And so I'm going to just make slices like this. And I'm going to lay right across the mushrooms once we stuff them. Let's see how the mushrooms are doing. Looking good. Again, I'm going to switch positions with the back and the center spots because the ones on the back are hotter. Okay, these are looking really good. So when these come off, I am then going to put the red peppers on. So I'm going to make room. It's still hot. I'm going to make room here. I'm going to just move these asparagus over so that when I take the mushrooms off, I can take them off right onto here. I don't have enough room here. I am going to remove this so I can use that shell. There we go. Perfect. Okay. This is off. Rice is cooking. There's a ways to go. Beets have a ways to go. And that's always the key, trying to time everything so it comes out at the same time. So while all that's going, we're going to work on our salad dressing, okay? Because these are just about ready. Those will be coming up in a minute. But with the salad, we have arugula. Now I mixed arugula and some of my spicy microgreens that were in the garden. So I have 6 cups here, though. We have our strawberries. Now I'm going to just get a different cutting board because I do not want garlic and ginger flavor on my strawberries. So I have a little board to get a little knife. And we'll cut the strawberries here. So I'm going to take the tip off, and I already washed these. And eating fruit sometimes is a challenge, but in the summertime, fruit is so much better than other times of the year. So I really don't eat fruit very much in the winter. But come summer, I really like try to incorporate fruit into salads and desserts and things like that. So this is a great way. And I actually planted a strawberry patch out on my yard this year for the first time. And so I'm looking forward to having strawberries in years to come. Because strawberries are perennial, so they'll come back year after year. Okay, so the strawberries I'm going to put right back into this bowl. There. Go to the compost. The mushrooms are ready to come off. I'm going to show you how the mushrooms look. And remember, I didn't use a lot of oil. I only used that spray. So what you're seeing here is really the juices from the mushrooms. And now I'm going to sit my peppers right on here. And I'm going to put them skin side down. So again, these can also get little ridges on them of the griddle. And that's purely visual. It just looks nice. And this was a short, fat pepper. Usually the pieces of red pepper are a little bit longer, but it is what it is. So if I have to double it up, that's what I'll do. Okay, so I'm going to put these peppers into a little baggie so that I will have them for my salad later. Membrane parts are going to go into my compost. All right, just going to let those cook a little bit. I'm going to make the salad dressing, okay, while that's cooking. So for the salad.
Bonnie, the screen is frozen.
Just unfroze.
Okay.
But it didn't pin itself. Hold on a minute. Let me see if I can fix this.
You're not frozen anymore.
You can see me?
Yes, you're moving.
Okay, good.
But we don't see the table.
Right. How did that? I'm telling you, this Zoom thing is not perfect. Okay, I have to.
Nothing's perfect.
Hold on a minute. Well, what happened is my phone says it's too hot in here and the temperature. So I am now going to pin this video and kind of turn this way as we've done once before.
Can you? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good. That's it.
Okay?
Good.
So we're going to just improvise here because
Well
that's what
done.
we have to do.
Well done.
So anyway, let's check on these beets. Ah, they're getting there. And let's check on the peppers. Nope, the peppers need more time. So where was I? I was going to make the salad dressing, okay? Actually, I like facing this way. I'm getting a little bit of a breeze. That's nice. All right, I'm going to move this to the side. All right, and the salad dressing, I need parsley and dill. I'm going to bring out my little mini Cuisinart that I love, mini food processor. It's actually not a Cuisinart, it's a Braun, as we already said. Okay. So this pear vinaigrette, or this pear vinegar, is so delicious. Someone gave it to me as a gift, and I've been loving it. I don't even know if I have enough left, really, for this full recipe, but we're going to do the best we can. I need a 1/4 cup of it. And if I run out, I do have this delicious white balsamic. So you can see it's so thick. I mean, I wish you could taste it. It tastes so much like pear. It's amazing. So I'm going to use a little white balsamic with it. And you can see the white balsamic is not syrupy like the pear vinaigrette. So that's going to go in here. And we need a 3/4 cup of olive oil. And I'm actually going to only put 1/2 cup in and see how it is. That's the typical ratio is like 1/4 vinegar, 3/4 oil. But this vinegar is just so good. I'm going to try it with a little bit less oil. A 1/4 teaspoon salt. And what else is going to go in here? Juice of 1/2 of a lemon. So as I said before, when you're going to squeeze a lemon, you want to roll it first to loosen up the juices. I'm going to place it into my little squeezer. A lemon press. Press it right in. Put the top on. And you don't even really need to. I'm not emulsifying this. I'm not trying to get it to be a thick, creamy sauce. So you can really just do this right in the jar. And that's it. Taste it. And I think it's great. I'm not going to add any more oil. So again, you guys can choose how much oil you want to put in. Let me see if these beets are ready. I'm going to get my gloves. In this salad, I've also sometimes put candied pecans in. That's a really nice addition as well. You know, one of the things I really like to encourage is everybody to play around with recipes, have fun, you know, try different things. I'm constantly doing that. These gloves are falling apart. I don't know. Not made so well. Okay, the beets are ready. Fine. Let me check the peppers first so I don't burn them. I'm just going to mix them up. Okay, peppers are getting soft. All right. So I'm going to walk over to the sink here. I don't know if I've mentioned this to you before, but when I pour hot water down the sink, I always run cold water with it so that I don't melt the pipes. And I'm going to run some cold water over this. Here's my beets. I'm going to show you how the skins just come right off. I get a little knife. It just peels right off. Whoa, they are hot. Woo! Even though this is cold water that I have them in. See, the peel is coming right off. Super easy. Last one. Okay, let me get that cutting board that I used for the strawberries. Checking these, I'm hearing them sizzling. These are ready, so I'm going to take these off too. Now we're really just waiting on the rice. I'm going to turn this off. You can see the temperature on my phone got too hot, so the phone turned off. So anyway, you can see the grill marks on the peppers. So this is going to be really great. We're going to put all this together in just a minute. So let's cut up these beets so they can start cooling down because we don't want to put hot beets on our salad. I'm just going to slice these up. And you can also wedge these. You know, right now I'm cubing them, but I've also made this where I have, you know, cut the beets into wedges and put them around the salad. So I toss the salad and then I add the beets after, which is what I'm going to do actually. I'm going to garnish with the beets just because you don't want to turn everything red, and the beets are just so beautiful. So we'll just put the beets on top as a garnish. I'm going to put them onto a plate so they can cool down. Just that. One more piece. Okay. Just gonna put this over by the window, let it cool down a little bit. We're still waiting for the rice to be finished. Let's see how that's doing. Rice is ready. Yay. Okay. I'm going to turn the rice off. Over to the sink, and you can see I have an insert here. So the rice is all right in the pot here. But I want to carry it over in the water to the sink so I don't drip along the way. Okay, just give me a minute while I juggle this. Shake the rice, get all that water out. Now I'm going to use a bowl to stir the rice into with all its parts before I put it into its serving bowl. So in this stainless steel bowl, I'm going to add my herbs. I am going to add the vegetables that we have cooked up. I'm just going to let that rice drain a little bit. And then we're going to add the rice to this. I'll set it right here for now. And we're going to assemble our mushrooms because all those are ready. Okay. Bring my mushrooms over here. We're going to need another sip of wine. All right, my spinach. So each of the mushrooms I'm going to put some spinach into. Don't know if it's going to all fit on this platter right now. It's so funny. It looked like I was panicking. I thought, oh no, I'm not gonna have enough spinach. But each of those mushrooms doesn't take that much spinach. And then we're gonna lay across, and I'm gonna get a little knife because I want it to be the right length. Gonna lay across a couple pieces of asparagus on each one. And like I said before at the beginning, this is a great recipe. You can make a lot of this out on the grill. So it's a really fun summer recipe. And then peppers across the top. Okay, I'm going to take my gloves off. I'm going to lay these out on my platter so you can see what they look like. Okay, so these are the mushrooms. The rice is coming up. Get the rice going. So we have our bowl right here with the herbs and the carrots and onions. We add the rice. Then in here, we also put in some tamari and some mirin. With my measuring spoons. Don't know where my measuring spoons are, so we're just going to put some tamari in. Tamari. Go a little lighter on the mirin. Mirin is sweet rice wine. And you can actually, we could have added the tamari and the mirin right into the sauteing of the vegetables, and that would have been very good as well. I'm going to add some sesame seeds to this. Apron came done. Bowl for this. Then we're going to just garnish it with some scallions on top and some a little more fresh parsley. Here's the rice. Come a little closer so you can see it. And now for our salad. That too, I'm going to use this large bowl to mix it in. Okay, so for the salad, I'm just going to put it in this large bowl for a minute so that we can see what we have here. Okay, we have the lettuce. Actually, This recipe is for a lot of people, and I don't have a lot of people here, so I'm not going to actually do this much because it will be wasted. So, I'm going to put in strawberries. Some fresh dill and fresh parsley. It calls for it in the recipe. So we're going to add some fresh dill and fresh parsley. And for this recipe, you don't want to chop it too fine. You want to actually be able to really taste pieces of dill and pieces of parsley. Dill. And the parsley, you can see how fine it is. I'm gonna add that. I'm gonna toss in some of my salad dressing. Again, I'm not using it all because I did not making the whole salad. Okay, and this is now going to go into my salad bowl. You have the strawberries on top, and then the beets. And again, it's not the full recipe, just because the salad won't save well, where the rest of the food will be great, even left over. Okay. So that's our time. We are out of time. It's already 7. So here's our salad. Okay, with the arugula, strawberries, and beets and dill. And then we have, let me clear some space here. Our mushrooms. And our rice. And my wine. Bon appetit, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
to
That's
have you all here.
beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome. I hope you make it.
Well,
Cheers, everyone. I'll see you all next week. Oh, and by the way, next week, I was thinking some people have been asking me to do some of my appetizers as opposed to an entree. So I thought I'd make a few different appetizers next week. Of course, hummus is so easy, and people are always buying hummus, and it takes 5 minutes to make hummus. So I'll whip up a batch of hummus. But then my radish pate, which is also like a beet pate, it's a wonderful way to use the tops of the beets and the radishes. People used to always throw those out and not know what to do with them. And they make a great pate. So we'll make a pate with radish greens or beet greens, whichever you have the tops of. If you don't have tops, you can use spinach, you can use arugula, but it's really great for radish greens and beet greens. And then also I'll make some stuffed mushrooms, not like these portobello mushrooms, but like, an hors d'oeuvre of a stuffed mushroom that you can pass around at a party. So that's the plan for next week. So I hope to see you all next week, and have a great dinner.
Thank you.
Thank
Vivani.
you.
Welcome. Bye,
Beautiful.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
You.